The following episode of We Making It is part of a mini-series highlighting the body business stories of dance artist professionals who are creative partners in the Sydnie L. Mosley Dances collective. SLM Dances is a New York City-based dance theater collective that works in communities to organize for gender and racial justice through experimental dance performance. This fall, SLM Dances is fundraising to build our collective power and continue to make this work possible. Hashtag we making it. In these body business stories, we speak candidly about our budgets and bank accounts while sustaining a commitment to impacting our communities with our gifts as artists. Please visit SLM Dance's website to learn more about how you can play a part in reaching our fundraising goal of $10,000 by December 31st, 2019. Again, that's slmdances.com. You want to know what else you can do? Well, let me tell you. Share this episode using the hashtag SLMDBodyBiz, that's biz with a Z, 10K, and help us share our body business stories with your community. Now, let's get back to the show.
Struggling away, juggling the days. You know we got it made. When we making it, we making it, we making it, we making it.
And welcome back to another episode of We Making It. Ooh. This is a weekly conversation with New York-based artists around what they are making and how they are maintaining adequate water levels in the process, because we ain't out here trying to look thirsty. Honey, it's getting cold, and that skin got to pop back into place. So what happened last night? I am pre-recording so many episodes this week that I do not remember. What am I reading? I am still working on Sula. If you have not heard about Sula, it's one of Toni Morrison's novels. It's a great one. I just haven't finished it all the way through. And so we are talking about what folks is making and how is we affording this lifestyle that honestly so few get to experience. And so I'm super excited. Special guest, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Lorena.
Hi, Lorena. Okay, so usually, Lorena, we be out here talking about what people is making. But for the money series, I want to know how you are making it happen.
Mm-hmm.
What you got going on over there?
All right, so I'm a new creative partner in development with SLM Dances.
Yeah.
I also have, I'm a recent graduate, a college graduate.
Okay.
Graduated 2 months ago.
From
3 months ago.
Marymount?
Yes, Marymount.
Shout out to Marymount. Who your people? Danny
Cole.
Kyra, Allison. Shout out to Mary. Libby. Libby went there. Shout out to Marymount.
All of them.
Oh, Marlene of Move NYC. I think you are an amazing performer, and I think she just went there this year. She's a freshman.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know, obviously.
But shout out to you as well. So yeah, you're a recent graduate. Tell us about it.
Recent graduate is at 2 months, but it's been like 5 months. I just every single day that has passed since, it looks like it's, it feels like it's been 2 months. I feel like I'm on summer break still.
Okay, well you just come on. It's gonna be a minute.
I know. It's gonna take a second. That's what I'm gonna disclose so far.
Okay, so let's get right into it. You're a recent grad.
Yes.
That's important in terms of where you're coming from. What are your monthly expenses?
So I pay rent.
Okay.
I am very fortunate that my parents still help me out with that.
Okay.
My rent is $870 a month.
Okay.
I live in Brooklyn.
Hey, me too.
I lived in the Upper East Side for most of my
Real
college.
cute. Real cute.
Yeah. I was
Marymount is
living
up there, and you got to get there on time. I hear you.
I was living the best life. And now I'm, in Brooklyn, but it's great. I'm really liking it.
You should.
It's just a commute,
I hear you.
It's a struggle.
I hear you. So we got $870 so far.
Yeah, $870.
Food.
I have a budget of $200 for food.
Okay. So we went at $970. Transportation.
Transportation, I have an unlimited MetroCard.
Okay, so $970 plus one.
Like 127, 128, I think it is.
Drop the one, carry the two. We about at 1,000.
I feel like you should bring a calculator next time.
Honey, we on up in number 6. This brain has been calculating. That's fine, honey. If you are listening and I done messed up on some math, honey, just tell me about it.
Well, I also have my, internet and like utility bill.
Okay.
That usually comes out about $80 a month.
So we're looking at just about $1,100. Okay.
Yeah. I have my phone bill.
Okay.
That's $50.
$1,100. So what are we looking at? $1,150. Okay.
I have my gym.
Oh, come on, gym membership. How much your gym membership, girl?
The gym membership is $15.
15. So
now the trainer, that's a different story.
Oh, so you got a girl. Okay, come on, girl. Tell me
Shout
about
out to Dancers Who Lift.
Oh my gosh, what's dancers? Okay, we gotta talk about that over here. But I totally wouldn't know about dancers who live. Maybe I can be a dancer who lives, girl. Okay, so we had $1,150 plus 15 is $1,165.
I lost count.
$1,165, I think, because $1,150 plus 10 is $1,160 plus 5 is $1,165.
Yeah.
And then how much you pay for this trainer?
Let's not disclose that.
Great.
But it's in the 3 digits.
Okay, well, for the budgeting purposes, how much you gonna add up to this budget?
Let's say 150.
So we're gonna say we was at $1,165, but we're gonna go up to like $1,300.
Yeah.
That's great?
Yes.
Cool, because I just need numbers. That's all I need.
There you go.
So we got $1,300 gym. So we got food, transportation, utilities, and then we got keeping fit and fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got $1,300. Health insurance.
My health insurance is, I think, $45 a month.
So we was at $1,300. So we got $1,345.
Yeah.
And then any other expenses that I've not allotted for that are monthly?
Just like general expenses, like going out to dinner or going out to a bar, all of that stuff.
So we was at what, $1,345? Which you want to go ahead around to like $1,500?
Yeah.
Okay, great. $1,500. Cool. Sure. So how much do you make?
So for SLM, since I'm a creative partner in development, I have a lower salary than creative partners.
Right.
Which is $5.50 for 1 hour a person.
Right.
This month, I also manage the social media, so that also, gives me a little bit from SLM. Mm-hmm. This month I made, I think it was like $250 from them.
Okay, cool.
I have a job that I'm going to choose not to disclose because I am an immigrant.
Yes.
And so due to, taking care of my immigration status, I'm going to not disclose that at the moment.
Take your time. We is out here trying to keep people in the streets, not off the streets. You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so you said you made $250 this month?
Yeah.
And then
I do, I'm not sorry to interrupt you, but
No.
I do want to say that my parents support me with rent, but other than that, I support all of my expenses.
Great. So let's just break that down.
Yeah.
So we got $250 from SLM, and then this other job pays
$20 an hour.
But there's sometimes like in terms of a month. How much do you make?
I make about $2,000 a month.
So we got 2 plus $250 is like $250. But you was spending. We got up to $1,500.
$1,500.
Okay, cool. So we got money.
We're making it,
baby. We is, girl. Thank you for bringing in the title. I love it when my guests bring in my title. Okay, but then I do have a question that have you. So when your parents support you, how much are they contributing?
They contribute my rent, like the price of my rent, which is $870. Did I say $870? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So then we would take the $1,500 and split it in half.
Yeah.
So what's that? We would just say about $750 in monthly expenses, but you're still bringing home just about $2,200.
Yeah.
Okay. So similar to what I said to Angelica and I think Bianca, I'm trying to think of the people that made more, and also Britt. I'm trying to think of people that made more than what they
spend
when they spent. Well, girl, where that money going? You got savings?
Yeah, I'm saving it.
Hey, did you? Oh, this is another question that I thought I had just recently that made me, you saving made me think of. Do you have any kind of student loan debt, credit card debt, any kind
Yeah.
of debt that you're actively paying for?
I actually just got my first credit card like last month.
Cute.
So not any credit card debt yet.
Honey, great.
I do have a student loan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't pay for it because my parents, well, I was very fortunate to the point that my parents were able to cover a large amount of my tuition.
Okay.
They did do this with like, they really, scrambled to
Come
get the
on
money.
now.
But
Come on now, resourceful parents.
they also got a student loan because I am an immigrant and I was an international student in school on an F1 visa.
Okay.
That means that you're not allowed to take out loans in the U.S.
Wow. Okay.
You're also not eligible for most scholarships.
Oh.
And you're not eligible for financial aid.
Wow.
So the only option for me was either personal funds or a loan from my home country.
Right.
So that is what my parents did.
Right.
But that went out under their names.
Right.
Not mine. So my parents are helping me pay that
Right.
at the moment.
So do you have to help them pay for it, or they're comfortable with you like starting a savings and?
Well, they haven't asked for it so far, but
Hey, I hear you.
I would obviously love to at one point
Take
do
it
something.
over for 'em.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But it's also it's structured differently than in the U.S. It's not going to be a loan in which they're going to be in debt for the rest of their lives.
Wow.
Because they had to pay most of it by the end of my college career.
Wow. And also just like that's amazing that then they were even able to take out a loan with different requirements. Because I'm speaking from the U.S. standpoint, I didn't even know that there were other types of loans that people wasn't going to be in debt till they was dead.
Yeah.
Shout out to your parents for having to not be in debt till they was dead.
They really did their research.
I appreciate their research. Okay. That's a great segue to Lorena. How do you identify, and then what do you feel like those identities have given you access to in terms of resources as a dancer?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, I'm an immigrant. I was born in Mexico City, and that is where I was raised as well. Mexico City is the capital of Mexico. Just, giving some context.
Yes.
I identify as Latina. I identify as an immigrant. In this context, obviously. I was very fortunate to have been born into a middle upper class family. My parents are both have master's degrees. My grandparents, are homeowners. My parents are as well. So
Right.
I was born into a very stable and fortunate situation.
Yeah.
I also identify as a woman.
Yeah.
And this is, a difficult question in terms of talking about the color of my skin. I am a little tan, obviously, since I'm, Latina. I don't get red if I go into the sun. But I am whiter looking, white passing in some, depends on where I am, obviously. So in the U.S., I've had to manage and reimagine how I am seen to others.
Wow.
Because obviously in Mexico, I feel like I am in a position of a little bit more privilege just because of my class, so the class that I was born into.
Yeah.
Whereas in the U.S., I'm not only alone, I don't have any family here. And I'm a legal immigrant, so that sort of also places me in a position of privilege, but I lose a lot of rights.
I was literally about to say, I wouldn't even have said that was a position of privilege considering what are the things that are happening literally on New York streets with damn ICE. So, yeah.
I meant it because since I'm here on an F1 visa, I cannot even begin to speak for all the millions of, people that are here illegally or had to come into this country to find a better life.
Right. Yeah, and and I think I'm so grateful that you brought that up, because there is that's such a such a gray area.
Yeah.
That I know I haven't had a lot of access to experience somebody that sees their immigration status as both a privilege without rights.
Yeah.
I think that's
It's just
such a
like,
great point.
yeah, my coming to this country was very much a choice. I was not forced to. I didn't have to escape any sort of violence or any sort of or I had to find a better life. So that already puts me, in
With a little bit more resources.
With a little bit of more resources. Exactly.
Right. Okay. Do you relate those resources, any of those resources, to the opportunities that you've had as a dancer?
Yeah.
Like, one that I'm thinking of, obviously, is that you had the ability to go to Marymount. Marymount's a great institution. Is there anything else in your formal training that you can relate those resources to?
Yeah. I mean, just the fact that I was able to go to ballet class when I was 4, and my mom was able, it's not only a matter of affording the classes, but affording the leotards and affording the point shoes and having a parent or someone that's available to take you to class every single day. I didn't have access to the same training that a lot of people in my college did, just because the arts, especially dance, is not as funded in Mexico as it is here. So I was sort of behind in that sense. When I came to college, within how I'm standing right now, I think, first of all, just looking at my immigration status, I was not able to do any projects outside of school because the F1 visa does not allow that. So when you're on an F1 visa, a student visa, you're not allowed to work outside. You're not allowed to do any type of work.
So you couldn't have done even an internship with a nonprofit, or
you could do that, but it has to be unpaid. Which if it's a nonprofit,
but some of them do pay.
Yeah,
Shout out
exactly.
to Gibney. It's like $225 a month, I think. So
there you go.
Hey, look, nonprofits out there trying to pay their interns. I ain't mad at you, but that just wasn't an opportunity that you could take advantage of.
Exactly. I just didn't have that chance to do that. Right now I'm doing something that is called the OPT, which is a year that international students get after they're finished with college to work within their field, and that is why I'm able to work with Sydnie. But I'm also only available to work within my major, which is dance.
Right.
Which is why I'm choosing to not disclose the other
right
job.
Yeah, and what I love too is that it seems like in talking about the resources that you got, you were also able to mention some barriers that come with that identity, which is super important. Are there and thinking about what you earn, do you identify any of those barriers? I mean, and I think the answer is yes, but I just want you to talk about it a little bit more. Do those barriers prevent you from just reaching certain financial goals? Like the one that I obviously thought of was because you can only work as a dancer, you can't pull in $2,000 from Trader Joe's like Angelica, because it's just like you can't.
Yeah, and that was a big struggle in college. Another thing that I want to mention is because of the U.S.-Mexico relationships and how much they've changed in the 4 years that I came here in 2015. The exchange rate between the two coins, the peso and the dollar, has changed drastically. So when I came to the U.S., $1 was 15 pesos. Just putting that out. Right now, it's about 22 pesos for $1. That is a huge amount of money change. I had to work in college, which is not like, it's not like, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I had to manage a way of working 2 jobs and dancing and studying. So I could help my parents out, because there was a point where they couldn't give me any more money for my expenses.
Right.
And there was a point where they were like, I don't think we can afford this tuition anymore.
Right.
because there is very little resources for us to provide, like resources in terms of like federal aid or
Right.
private loans or whatever.
Right.
And at this point, like when we made the original calculations of like we'll get you through college,
Right.
at this point those numbers have changed so much
Right.
that we can no longer
And
afford this.
And there's no way that they could have anticipated
There was
that
no
the
way.
exchange rate would have changed
Like,
so drastically
So
when you were in school.
exactly. So for every dollar that they were paying, now they were paying like $1.50. So it was a lot for them, and shout out to them because they really,
Came through.
They scrambled. They did everything, and not only them, but my grandfather, my grandparents were also very helpful in that sense. For example, when getting an F1 student visa, you need to prove that you have the funds to afford 1 year of tuition, at least 1 year of tuition. That doesn't mean I'm going to make it in the year. Like, oh yeah, I make enough money. I make $45K or whatever. No, it means I have $45K sitting on the bank.
Yeah.
And at the time where I came to college, my parents didn't have that amount of money in the bank.
I don't know who shot John or them who got 45K just sitting.
Exactly. Fortunately, my grandfather had a big savings account, and so while he didn't provide me with any money for my tuition, he provided me with documents.
Hey,
So
come on, abuelo, come through. All we need is a paper.
Yeah,
that says sitting. Oh, come! I'm grateful for him too. Come on.
I mean, obviously he also supported it a little bit, but not in the tuition sense.
Well, honey, when you got that kind of piece of papers that you could just like print out on the pull down from the Google.
Yeah.
Honey, I'm so grateful for you. Like I feel that in my spirit.
It really wouldn't have been possible without him. He unfortunately passed away from cancer 2 years ago.
I'm so sorry. We lift him up in the greatest of ways, honey.
I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for him.
Come on, come on. He sound like a great man. Girl, what was his sign, girl? That's just good. Come on now.
So I already got lost in this conversation.
No, it's okay. I was literally about to say. So that said, let's go ahead and play my little game to close.
Okay.
So we gonna drop. Yeah. Okay. Because your numbers is kind of skewed like in Helica's was. Not skewed, but like they get real big and they get real small real quick. And so I got to think like, oh, I need her small numbers only. Okay.
Yeah.
So you essentially, if we take off rent, you need to survive just about $800.
Yeah.
But let's drop it down so that for a month you could only make the $250 from SLM.
Right.
Only for a month. Who would you call? What would you do to kind of make up for that other $650?
Right. Well, listen, probably the trainer would have to go.
Okay. Bye, trainer.
Bye, trainer.
Can't be fitting fine this month. It's going to be all right.
Yeah. I'll do some apps in my living room.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
I, at the moment, cannot leave the country because of the way that my visa is set up. Because if I leave, I wouldn't be able to get back.
Yes.
So I would have to stay here if rent needs to go because for some reason my parents can't give me that rent money and I have to stay with
they can give you the rent money.
Oh, they can give me the rent money.
You got a place to stay because that's not your expense.
Okay, that makes it so much better.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think, listen, I had a few years, especially like my first year of college, where it was really hard because, as I said, my parents could give me only a very little amount for me to live. And while I did have a meal plan, like I was probably living on like $100 every 2 weeks.
Meal plans are...
Yeah, but the meal plan covered me like one meal a day.
That's what I'm saying. Meal plans are, what is the word I'm looking for? They tricky.
Yeah, they're
they
tricky.
They be out here acting like they like the bomb and they cover but so much.
So I'm about to say, like I've lived on like $200 a month at one point. and my dinner was like those mashed potatoes that are like in a box,
The
and you just
instant
put
ones.
water. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that and green beans, and that was my meal of the day.
Not the green beans in the can, girl. Put
Not
them
in
in
the can. No,
microwave.
they were frozen. They were frozen. They were
Oh.
from Trader Joe's. Shout out to Angelica. Uh,
Come on, green beans and mashed potatoes.
Listen, I would shop at Trader Joe's even if I was a millionaire. Like, I love
I
that
mean,
place.
Beyonce shop at Target, so honey, what's good is good. Okay.
Yeah, I would. That would be my one meal a day plus my meal from school, right? My meal plan.
Sure.
So if I can confidently say that I can make it work with like $100 for
Okay.
food for a month. Like, I'll just go. I'm telling you, I'll go to Trader Joe's. I'll get a bunch of frozen vegetables.
Okay.
I'll buy some tofu, and that will be my one meal of the day.
Yeah.
And if I have to like be a little hungry, maybe I'll be a little hungry.
It's all right. Drink some water.
Yeah. Drink some water. Sleep for dinner.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah. Because I don't have any family in the U.S. Like, my phone bill, my credit card, all of that stuff had to be like, it's independent. Like, I'm not on anyone's like phone plan, for example. So all of that I have to budget myself, and that can't go. You know what I mean? Like, I would probably have to stop paying my phone. Get like a simpler plan. Get something that maybe doesn't have internet and like use the Wi-Fi or something like that.
Right.
Transportation, because I live so far away from my job. I do need an unlimited Metro card.
Right.
So, I mean, I would probably, that would be where most of my money would go.
Right.
Or do a paper ride, or try to stay with a friend that lives closer to,
Right.
where my work is.
Right.
So that would have to be, the option.
Yeah. And what I do love about this conversation too, that has been really important to me, is when I first moved to the city, I moved to the city without family, but shout out to Macy, Amber, Brooke. They all went to my high school, and they gave me a floor to sleep on an air mattress for 3 weeks, and I only lived there for 3 weeks, but then after that, I started to kind of hustle and live with complete strangers and all of that.
Right.
And I think because I'm going into my 3rd year in the city in February, I think in some ways I forget how much that was helpful.
Yeah.
Like, I forget the role that community played in me being here.
Yeah.
And so that's why when I even ask the question, I say, who you gonna call? What auntie you gonna reach out to? Because in taking stock of resources, I think oftentimes I always think about the money that I don't have.
Right.
But what was so great about when I first moved here was not only did I not have the money, I had 3 people who literally Macy and Brooke stayed down the street from my house. Like, their mom still stays like literally a walking distance from my current mom's house.
Yeah.
And so just number one, taking stock of resources, and then taking stock of how community is a resource time and time again.
Yeah.
And I hear that when you talk about your parents. I definitely hear that when you talk about your grandparents. And I just think that it's been so important for me to think about that as a resource all the time versus only thinking about money. And so I'm really, that's why I ask. That's why I bring it up.
That's something so true. I feel like, well, first of all, my parents, I know that if anything happened to me, I can always call them and they'll always find a way to solve, a problem for me. They have like done anything they can to get the money to put me through school. Like, they put my house on sale. My dad took out his retirement fund early.
Yeah.
My mom, really put 80% of her salary for my rent.
Right.
When we were doing college. Like, right now it's a little bit easier.
Right.
Because
on
there's no
Upper
tuition
West Side,
anymore.
and there's no tuition. Yes.
And then also, not living like I'm a Gossip Girl.
Yes. Yes.
So I always know I could call them. When you mentioned community and when you mentioned moving to the U.S. or to New York in general, and being alone, it's so true how you form a family here.
Literally.
And it's so funny to see, because and this is something so important when you ask about my identity, because Mexico is sort of like really close to first of all, sure it's a huge border with the U.S.
Yes.
and to not borders, except for like you know, in the South, but like not borders most Latin American countries.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I never truly identified as Latina like before.
Oh.
Like I was like, I'm Mexican, sure, and like I know I'm Latin American,
Right.
but I never like you know, like but once you moved into the US, there is this like sense of like, I am looking at my Bolivian friend and I'm like, she's my sister.
Yeah.
I didn't know where Bolivia was until now. I knew it was somewhere in South America. She knows this. Shout out, she's my best friend. And it's like, it is such an important thing too. Like I created such a family with a bunch of international students and a bunch of people that are from Latin America.
Right.
And there is this sense, this bond of like
camaraderie.
Yeah.
Y'all are literally, you have a shared experience.
We do have a shared experience.
And I want to lift that up just even more. Like I met, shout out to Tasha. Tasha's an amazing visual artist up in the Bronx. Tasha's Haitian. Y'all, coming from Texas, I thought black was black. Coming to New York City, living in damn Inwood, guess what I thought? I thought Dominicans was what? Black. I thought they was just light-skinned. They daddies was light-skinned, and like my daddy was light-skinned. But they was black. Girl, tell me, come to find out, they is so Dominican. Even like going to the salon and like even understanding that there's a such thing as a Dominican salon. Girl, I'm thinking, girl, it's just a beauty shop.
Yeah.
But then, and I think that's what's so special, like you were saying, just how many ways and histories around what does it mean to be a person of color, what does it mean to be a person that is of like brown descent, the fact that I'm learning that like Haiti and the DR are literally like walking distance across from each other. It really makes me feel, again, so much closer to people that I really did think looked like me already, and I really thought was already connected to me. And not for nothing, y'all, that's probably why I love Brooklyn so much. And like that's why I love New York City so much, because you feel like, or at least I have felt like I have found my people.
I know, so many people like you and so many people that are not like you at all, but also share so many of the same experiences.
Honey.
And that's when I mentioned, you know, also like the color of my skin, like you were asking about that.
Yeah.
I never, you know what I mean? Like my mom is literally the color of a piece of paper. She is white.
Mm-hmm.
My dad has a little bit more color in him because he has like stronger indigenous roots.
Mm-hmm.
But so I'm a little bit like coffee with a little bit of milk. And so coming into the U.S. and suddenly where the U.S. like categorizes race so strongly, not that race is not an issue in Mexico, it's just unspoken.
Right.
It's out of the vocabulary. So like it's hidden there, but it's more hidden within class. Here, it is also hidden within class, but it is so strongly delineated to the point where a college can say we have 30% African Americans, you know? And so suddenly my race or the color of my skin is something that I have to think of.
Yeah.
And suddenly I'm looking at people on the subway and I'm like, all right, I identify
my
with
people.
you. Yeah,
They're my
they're
people.
my people.
If something happened, they gonna be the person that's gonna take up for me.
Exactly.
I sure hope so.
Like, and in that sense, you know, it's just like it was such a culture shock for me coming to the U.S. in that sense. Not the culture at all, because again, saying we're so close to the U.S. That Mexico, like I grew up with, like coming to the U.S. regularly. Like I grew up with the same shows that you probably did. Like,
right.
And so that like shifting my position in society and how I'm viewed, that's what was really the culture shock for me, and in me reimagining my own identity.
Yeah.
And my mom, before I got on the plane 5 years ago, for the first time alone, she said, you know, don't let anyone tell you that you're not good enough.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'll always remember that. I don't know if she remembers that.
That just warmed my heart. and I love how this conversation has slowly shifted to culture, into culture shock and community after going through what sounds like a little bit of an identity crisis.
Yeah.
Because I definitely feel like this 25 has done that to me. But what I'm really glad about, and what it sounds like you're glad about, is we all have found these resources outside of money that have made the money conversation just a little bit easier day to day.
Yeah.
And that it is hard, and it does take some reimagining, some refocusing, but that we are all in it together, and we found this kinship, sisterhood, brotherhood, peoplehood around, like, we really are out here to make art. And like, money is not always available, but we have other things to rely on to kind of get us through. And I hope that is so much. I hope that remains a part of this conversation as much as money is, because the two work together.
And also knowing that dance, although it is a very elitist field, at the end of the day, dance is free. Movement is free. And
better shake your booty in the living room.
Listen, like, it's I understand all the complications that come with a formal dance education.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, making dance is free, and everyone can do it.
Yeah.
And at this point, we're like, for example, like you and I, we're like in a secure position. I feel like it's, at the end of the day, we still have dance.
Yeah. Come on now, Lorena. Help me close this episode. So, as always, I want you to make it live. I want you to make it breathe. Hell, since Lorena is here, baby, why don't we check out and see what we can make for free, honey? In the living room, in the shower, on the bathroom floor.
Get those abs.
Yes. But as always, I just want you to make it. Bye. Now, a note from SLM Dances. This episode of We Making It is part of a mini-series highlighting the body business stories of Sydnie L. Mosley Dances creative partners. SLM Dances is a New York City-based dance theater collective that works in communities to organize for gender and racial justice through experimental dance performance. In sharing their stories with you, SLM hopes to make plain their needs as dance artists and inspire you and all SLM Dances community members to think and act from a place of abundance, empathy, and urgency. SLM Dances is fundraising to build our power as a collective. Our goal is 10,000 by December 31st, 2019. Please visit SLM Dances website at slmdances.com. That's SLMDANCES.com to join SLM Dances community and become a donor. Keep in touch with SLM Dances fundraising efforts by following us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, all at SLM Dances, and the hashtag SLMD BodyBiz with a Z 10K.